Hey, DJ.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, did you know that, and you may not have heard this story, but people in the industry probably have.
Maybe I have, maybe I haven't.
I don't know, maybe. That 13 individuals across different areas of financial services, mutual funds, stock brokerage, and life insurance gathered in an airport in 1969 and laid the foundation for what became financial planning services.
It's a lot of numbers, but that's pretty awesome. 1969 in an airport.
53 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Love Wylie Podcast, hosted by Wes Dorsey and DJ Shirley. Connecting people in the city we live and love.
I almost knocked myself out before we got started.
You did the little cap tap.
It wasn't intentional.
It was a little cap tap on the mic.
It's almost a little tall for me today. I'm a little shorter than this. Maybe this one's yours.
Maybe your chair's lower.
Maybe. It could be.
All right, man. Hey, we got a pretty good episode this week.
I'm excited about our episode.
What do we got going on?
We, today, have a local celebrity. Did you know that?
I do know that.
Yeah. Today we have Kristi Denham here with us today. She is an LPL financial advisor over at the Jal Dennis Group here in Wylie, Texas. So I'm excited to have her here. Kristi, welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on this podcast.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of sitting over here fangirling like, oh my gosh.
That's kind of amazing. She did mention that we were a legit podcast.
I heard her say that. We're recording all the time, so we'll make sure that now we can have that. Like we can say quoted
by local celebrity
podcast.
We're legit
Official podcast.
So I guess you listen to the podcast, right?
I do. Awesome. Absolutely.
Well, that's one listener.
We got one.
At least one.
She could be watching it multiple times. Maybe that's where it's coming from. Kristi just kind of rewinds.
No, I promise just one time. Yep.
Well, that's awesome. Well, welcome to our podcast. And you listen to it all the time, so you kind of know the format. We like to talk to our guests and kind of dig deep and learn about their history, what brought them to Wylie, why they're here, and what keeps them here. So welcome.
Thank you.
And so where did it all begin for Kristi? You know, your early childhood, where'd you grow up?
Well, believe it or not, I grew up in San Diego, California. And, yeah, it's gorgeous. 24/7, year round.
The weather is amazing.
It is amazing. And born and raised, I lived specifically in Rancho, San Diego. And that's about 30 minutes inland from the ocean, but then about 20 minutes from the mountains. And
it's a good spot.
It was a good spot, yeah. A lot of mountains for sure. And went to high school out there. And then from there, in high school I competed in a lot of sports. And then got heavily recruited, believe it or not, by the community college track and cross country coach to run for community college, which you think, it's kind of strange, but he's trying to build his team from scratch. So he invested time in me and shaped me as a runner. And then I got a track and cross country scholarship to the University of Missouri, Kansas City. And believe it or not, I was a steeplechaser. Do y'all know what a steeplechase race is?
I do not. I've heard the term before. I don't, but now I'm intrigued.
Well, what's the official definition of a steeplechase race?
Well, a lot of folks think, is that a horse race? I'm like, no.
That's what popped into my head.
So a steeplechase is a 3,000 meter race. It is 7.5 laps around the track. Only you got a few obstacles. Instead of having like hurdles like a typical like 400 race would or 200, 100, it's thicker barriers, so you could put your full foot on top of the barrier, kind of like a balance beam, and launch yourself off. But when you come around the lap, you actually just hurdle it because it's faster. And then, you know how when you go to a football game, at the top of the, behind the goal, there's like a little area that breaks in on the track. And you're like, what is that? Is that like a little shed or what's going on in there? Well, it's actually the water pit. And they clear that space out. They fill it up with water, and it has a big barrier in front of it if it's set up properly. So you come around that lap, and there's a special approach you do to cut in towards approaching that water pit jump, and then you launch your foot off of it so you could get to the furthest edge of it. And then if you're really good, you only have like 1 foot in the water. So
it's like a precursor to these Tough Mudders or whatever.
I was going to say
you
that
know?
reminds me so much of like all these obstacle races that you see. It's like they built off of.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I didn't know that was a college event. I don't know. I never knew that.
I've never seen it on TV.
Yeah, you should watch it. So interesting story too, to kind of spin off on that. I got a full ride scholarship, and because not very many people want to attempt the steeplechase, and lo and behold, I qualified to race at KU, which is a pretty difficult invitational to get into. You have to qualify by time at the college level, and before the race, they played a huge, like on their Jumbotron, the video of last year's event, and that was my first year competing in that invitational, just because I had transferred out to the university, and came to UMKC. Lo and behold, I guess sometimes there's a little bit of a traffic jam on the first water jump because you haven't like spaced out or not enough race has gone on, because you actually attempt the water jump the second lap just because of this issue. Well, these girls are all really fast, and they attempted the water jump, and they just had a huge traffic jam. Like one girl completely fell in and is crawling on all fours out of this water jump, getting landed on, jumped on.
Oh, that was awful.
And then, of course, imagine they're playing the Jaws music
while
it's going down.
Oh, yeah.
And I see this before the race, and I'm looking at my best friend who's also on the team, and she's like, "It's not going to be like that for you, I promise." And I'm like, "Woo!" That was the scariest race I've ever ran in my life. That's probably the scariest I've ever been in my life after that.
It's like going up there to play any sport, and they show the worst possible thing that could happen before you go out there to play.
Like the sport fails, like, skiing, skiing and tumbling down the mountain.
That's all that's going to be in my head for,
yeah, absolutely. They're like, "Hey, and who's up to, let's toe the line. Let's get this race started." I'm like, "Oh no." It all worked out. I think I got 5th out of 15. So
nice.
It wasn't too bad. And there was not that debacle at the water jump. So I was very grateful.
Was it, going back, I guess, to, your younger days, was going to college always on your radar? Or, as a kid, like what did you want to be when you grew up that you can remember? Like if you think back, how far back can you remember of what you wanted to actually be when you grew up?
Well, being a financial advisor was not on the radar, but all these steps kind of took me to this, which is amazing. I highly appreciate God for putting me on this journey. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool how this all laid out. But, through high school, I knew I'd go to college because my mom was really good about just saying, "You're going to college," But then I got to college, and she's like, "We're not paying for college." So that's another way why I was like, I'm going to help these families.
Yeah.
But I thought I was going to be a marketing manager. I always loved business and how businesses worked, and especially small business. And lo and behold, I do lots of marketing today in a different sense. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. So we kind of covered a little bit on I'm assuming you ran track in high school too, correct?
Actually, no. I did cross country. I was on the swim team. I was on the dance team, and I was on the soccer team. Okay. But not all at once. Right. I think I picked up, it was all at once for 2 years. No, 1 year, sophomore year. Decided to quit soccer and just did dance, swim, and cross country.
Okay. And then so that's where the junior college, community college had seen you originally, I guess, was doing the cross country.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You really can't get scholarships off of cross country because all the courses are different.
Yeah.
And then I opted, instead of doing track like I should have, my dad was a runner and a swimmer. He encouraged me to be on the swim team. So I had a really good time doing that. And then just kind of woke up and realized, I need to focus here.
I got to pick something.
If I want to get school paid for, I better put some miles down.
Yes, absolutely.
And I ran a lot in the hills of Rancho San Diego.
Oh, I bet.
Yep.
I mean, you had a lot of options out there to choose from.
yeah.
I mean, being that close to the mountains and that close to the beach.
Oh
So
my gosh, it was amazing. Or if it was too hot, you just go to the beach.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and then I never have enjoyed running in sand. It always seems like more work. It seems like a lot of work to run in sand.
It is, but there's the boardwalk, and if you ever ran on the boardwalk in San Diego, you pick up speed so fast, and you're like, holy cow, I'm going like 6-minute mile pace. What's going on here? But you fly by the beach houses and the
Yeah.
people. It's just the ambiance.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing.
That's what I've watched the people that have like the Peloton bikes and the Peloton treadmills, and I mean, it looks so cool. I don't have one, but it looks cool because you get to, it's like, oh, you're riding or rowing or running by a creek or the beach or something. And I'm like, I can still tell I'm in my garage though. Like, I don't know. It's not
Man,
the
you
same.
can put that up on the TV though, right?
Right. Like I could put it on any TV and then
It's not the same though, right?
I don't think
know.
so. I don't think
Is
so.
it like a simulator though?
I don't know. Like it's
Yeah.
not full VR type thing. Like even that, like at the end of the day, I still know I'm in my garage.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I could buy a pretty big TV and a speaker for a few $1,000s. I told Laura that one day. I was like, we could turn on a fan and turn on, a mist machine and then have like jungle sounds playing and be like, we're working out in the Amazon. It's that humid in the garage anyway. So
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
but
man.
running on the beach sounds like a whole lot of fun, but it is a lot of work. Well, Kristi, so you got your degree in business administration, correct? Because that's just kind of the path that you saw, and that was because of it. I'm guessing in college still you were foreseeing a path of still going into marketing. Was that kind of the thought?
Absolutely.
That is awesome. Well, what is and I know that Wes is going to get back to a couple of things, but what is just kind of transitioning there? I always we asked Dr. Vincent this too, and so I like to ask everybody now, what was your first job? Just your first job out of college?
Oh man, during college or out of
let's
college?
let's go there. Let's go first job period.
Okay,
What was your
all
first
right.
job period?
So I worked for this little kid surf and skate shop called Grommets.
Well, of course you did.
Yes. And
Well, that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yep. Well, technically, first sales job was Girl Scouts.
Oh,
hustling
right.
those
That's
cookies.
a big deal.
Yep, that is a big deal. That's hard work. And then and then I worked at Grommets as soon as I turned 18 because California has pretty strict laws for and rules for having minors work for you.
Sure.
So a lot of employers are like, I'm not going to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I worked at this kid surf skate shop and everything from Etnies skate shoes to skateboards with trucks and bearings and grip tape.
That is
and-
awesome. I haven't heard
and then-
Etnies in a long time.
I know, right? And then all the Tony Hawk gear. Back when motocross was really into No Fear, which they may still
I may be.
sponsor. I don't know.
I
don't
remember
keep
No
on
Fear
that
was
stuff.
huge.
It was, and then the girls, like little girls' clothes, Roxy. So it was big to get those little kids outfitted for back to school. So I did that.
That's awesome. That's very cool. We'll talk about some of your job history in a minute. We'll come back around to that.
Right. So I know your family's very important to you. So let's kind of roll through that, how you met your husband, your kids, and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Jason and I, this is a neat story. We both graduated from the University of Missouri, Kansas City. He grew up in Kansas City, and we both got degrees in business, and we were there at the same time and crossed paths, but never really met up.
Oh, wow.
He has some funny stories to say about when we met and so forth. I personally feel that I was not ready to meet such an amazing man such as Jason. I had to date a couple frogs, really appreciate how fantastic Jason is as my husband. I often joke, because I do a lot with the chamber and so forth, that when Jason comes around as my date to events and stuff, that he's my trophy husband, because he is.
That's great.
Yeah, he really he's my sounding board, but he's always been my rock through all of the things. And we made the decision together in 2012 to move to Dallas. And I transferred with my job at the time. I was with ADP, Small Business Payroll, and that was no problem. So I could basically hold us down and have the health insurance and so forth. where Jason actually left his job at Farmers as an underwriter and became a real estate agent.
Oh, wow.
He hated it.
I wonder why.
That lasted 6 months, and then he got a job at Sub-Zero Wolf and worked there for quite some time. He's not there anymore. He's at another company, Ventahood and Richardson, but
Sub-Zero makes some pretty nice refrigerators.
They do. I think I have the nicest garage fridge in all of Wylie, thanks to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the house that I have, it doesn't fit in the kitchen right now.
Wow.
The fridge is pretty massive.
Yeah.
But it's funny, it's in the garage and people drive by, they're like, what? What's in there?
What is that contraption they have in their garage?
We have a garage sale and they're like, how much is that? I'm like, no.
It's not.
Oh, we're saving that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's greatness. So you guys, when did you guys y'all moved down here? When did y'all get married? And I don't know if we covered that yet.
I forgot about that part. That's kind of
I'm
important.
going to have to call Jason.
Yeah. So we got married in July of 2010.
2010. Okay.
Yep,
awesome.
in
And then
Kansas
the
City.
move was down here 2012, correct?
Yep. In October, it's going to be 10 years here.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yep. We originally lived, we started in Louisville. We had an apartment there and then moved further east to Plano. We bought our first house here in Plano and then moved here to Wylie in September of 2017.
Okay.
So
you guys got kiddos.
we do.
I know you love to talk about your kiddos, and everyone
my
should. So we'll
goodness.
give you an opportunity to kind of tell us about your kiddos a little bit.
Yeah, so I have two baby doll princesses, as people have often heard me call them. I wouldn't know what to do with a boy because it's just like all girls. You know, I'm the oldest of three girls, and I have two girls. I just don't know those things.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
I always thought I wanted a son, and then now I don't even know what I do with one. So I think,
Yep.
I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when my oldest daughter, Jillian, we call her Jilly. Don't call her Jill. She likes to be called Jilly. She was born in September of 2014. She's going to be 8 on Friday.
Wow.
So she's pretty excited about that. But she's in second grade at Cox Elementary. And then when she was born, my mom, because long story short, my mom, my sisters, we all kind of rallied back here in Dallas. So that was pretty magical. Sister got a job at L3 after going to Texas Tech. Guns up. And
Shout out, Dr. Vincent.
yeah, shout out. And then other sister, she worked for a boutique franchise, and their headquarters was in Louisville. So she got relocated.
Oh, very cool.
From Florida to, we kind of all hopped around, but then we ended up in the same place.
That's
so it was
really
amazing.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so when Jilly was born, my mom's like, I really want to watch her full time instead of her going to daycare. And that actually worked out. So very intentional. So she lives in Rockwall. So we'd have to meet up and do like a drop off, baby handoff. And then she'd come to my house a couple of days a week. But that's what kind of brought us further out to Wylie, is because Grammy's in Rockwall.
A little closer.
And she helps us a lot.
That's
so
awesome.
Really grateful for that.
That's awesome.
And then Kelsey came along in 2018. She's 4 now. And Kelsey is my fireball, but she also, we figured out just less than about a year ago now that Kelsey's partially hearing impaired. So that was a whole circus right there to figure out what her game plan was, how impaired her hearing is, what can we do from here with therapies? Is it going to be progressive damage? How did this occur? We don't know. We had a lot of testing and so forth, and thankfully we got her these cute little pink hearing aids.
They are cute.
Her ears, and she was doing so well. My mom texted me earlier today that when she picked her up, she said 3 or 4 words together. She said, "I love my apple juice."
That's great.
So it's just little things you're pretty excited about.
You gotta love it. That is awesome. And they're both of them, they're dance, right?
Oh my goodness, that's our world. Yes. So they are at Red Door Dance Studio. Shout out to the amazing team over there. We've been at Red Door for going on 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, Jilly just got invited to be on their first level competition team
Oh, that's
called
awesome.
Leveled Up. So we're really excited about that. I'm a dance mom, and then Kelsey, like she's year 2, and she has really turned a corner with her speech therapy and following directions, and she gets the rhythm down.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Wait. Yeah.
I love seeing your post. I'm, as you know, I'm a volleyball dad, but seeing parents involved in that, I grew up playing sports, and I did initially. That was my thought of when we were, having kids is, I wanted the son because I thought son equals sports, right? Like, I mean, but then now that both of them are playing volleyball, it's it consumes all of the time, right? Like it's evenings, it's weekends, it's like all the times, but it's that, you saw it for yourself. You were an athlete and you did dance, and then now you get to just kind of experience it through them, but yet I don't have to sweat. Like I can sit over here and just watch them do their thing. Like I can just cheer them on. It's a fun times. And I love seeing all your posts about them doing their dance stuff, which is awesome.
Thank you. And then Jilly is now officially a Brownie Girl Scout.
Oh.
We just bridged from daisies to brownies. So
it's that season,
exciting.
right? Isn't it about time for cookies? Or
no.
Wow. So maybe I'm just craving them.
We'll circle back in January.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And there's a new cookie this year too.
It's Cub Scouts right now, right? They're out doing popcorn. I saw somebody at Walmart the other day, and I was like, I scoped it out, and I was
like, I think they're selling popcorn.
Popcorn, yeah. I was like, that's not cookies. So I just avoid them. I'm like, oh no, we're good.
I like popcorn.
I do like popcorn. I only like one brand of popcorn though. Shout out.
Dean Ann Popcorn.
Dean Ann Gourmet.
Yep.
Yes.
That's pretty good stuff. You get it at your local Kroger, right?
Get it at your local Kroger. That's good stuff. Well, Kristi, you told us a little bit about, like, we've got the first job. We got the surf shop, and you told us a little bit of kind of moving around. I mean, but what is, I guess the progression that led you to, you were at ADP, correct? What was the progression of, I guess, thought process, but then actually the work that was put in? I mean, when did you decide that what you're doing now is what you wanted to do, or when did it even become a thought, and like when did that process start? Because I know it is a process to kind of get to where you are.
Absolutely. Gosh. So first actual job out of college, I'll back it up to that point.
There we go.
I won't give you my resume or anything,
that's
but
fine.
I'll just give you a quick speed through. First job out of college, believe it or not, I worked for Penske Truck Leasing.
Nice.
Yes. I was part of a business fraternity, clearly co-ed as a woman, and they came and spoke to us about professionalism and what they offered there. And I said, do y'all ever hire women? And they said, well, we have ladies in the office, but not ladies that help with the truck leasing part. And I said, well, maybe I could do like an internship, because I was trying to get ahead of finding a job before school was out. I wanted to be ahead of the curve there. So they hired me. And from there, that's where the sales background and customer service really launched. And from there, I had a couple other different types of sales jobs. And more recently, working for ADP doing small business, I worked with my 401k rep and also set small businesses up with simple IRAs. So that was like my first exposure.
Okay.
But I also went through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace. And neat story, halfway through Financial Peace University at a local credit union in Kansas City, my now husband proposed to me. So I had to drop some of that debt before I was good and worthy, right? He jokes about that a lot. He's like, I had to make sure she was serious about this.
Had to see the level of commitment there.
Yeah. So I was very proud. We cash flowed our wedding. And
it's a big deal.
Yep, we paid for that ourselves, and I was very proud of that because I've never done anything like that before. But that's where the wheels started turning. I thought, I love personal finance. I want to share it with others. I want others to go through this fantastic experience and transformation as I had. And also, having worked for ADP, it's a different business model, right? It's very like transactional. It's not real hands-on, long-term relationship, and that is. I was figuring out that's not really my speed. I feel like I should be doing more, but I get penalized if I do. This is not how it's set up. And a gentleman in my BNI group at the time, he called me out on it. He's like, Kristi, you're great, but this is not a match for you. And that got the wheels turning. And then another friend connected me with another financial advisor that was looking for a relationship like, I guess, a relationship manager,
Yeah.
so to say, like an account manager.
Okay.
So that's how I got my foot in the door in the financial advisory industry.
That is very cool.
Yep. And my first job I worked at in the industry was at UBS, and I got my Series 7 and 66 there, and then worked for another firm that was a mutual fund company as well, which was huge in learning about that.
Yeah.
And then just got tired of commuting and a few other components that just opened my eyes to why am I not an advisor? I mean, I got the licenses and I have some great experience. I think I'm ready to step it up from admin to professional advisor.
Yeah.
So I just a shout out to the Connection magazine. I got that in the mailbox, and those turkeys were on the front cover of
That's great.
the November, December magazine. As they always are,
Yeah.
or we are. And I was like, I'd be a fool not to check out my own backyard.
Yeah.
And I read the article and wrote up a cover letter just referencing the article about the team and how they're looking to expand and why I'd be a good fit just based off of the company's mission, values, and principles how they serve their clients. And Trace emailed me like less than 24 hours later, had me come in. And then I met with Jal the next week, and that was that. So,
That's awesome.
Yep.
It's kind of cool how, and it's everybody that we have in here. It's like you just see life in general, regardless of kind of why we have them here, what we're talking to them about. It's that life in general has those full circle moments to where you're like, wait, okay. And then you're there, and you go, I don't know.
You end up right where you need to be.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that that's what I was intended to do, or where I was intended to be. But then now I look back and go, okay, that's why that, and that's why that, and
Absolutely.
then now we're here. So that's pretty cool. And especially the sales background part. I mean, me, that a lot of my background was in sales as well, and like just those knowledge. And I tell my kids that all the time that there is something to be said about learning. And we could plug Wylie ISD here just for some of what they do with the CTE programs with the restaurant and everything like that, is these kids learning customer service and sales skills. I've heard people even knock on, no pun intended, maybe a little, knock on, these door-to-door people. Some of those kids that do that, they get more raw exposure into how to handle situations and customers and clients and just interaction with people that they will be able to take on. Those will probably be future lawyers, attorneys, they could be doctors, they could be high profile sales executives. And it's because of some of the knowledge that they picked up in some of those sales roles along the way, just because you learn so much through those roles. And I think that's pretty cool, just being able to hear. I didn't know that full story. I knew some of it, but I didn't know that full story. That's pretty awesome.
That's why we're here, man.
That is why we're here.
That is why we're here.
All right. What do we got next?
We have a little list, right?
Yeah.
And I think we've jumping around, and you touched on how you landed in Wylie, and I guess kind of what's keeping you here is kind of expand on that a little bit. I know
Sure.
You're involved with the Jal Dennis Group and all that stuff, but what's keeping you here in Wylie?
Oh, wow. So here's a really interesting story. So Jason and I knew that we wanted to move out further east. We actually put an offer in on a house in Murphy in 2017. And at that time, because we had all these new builds, the comps were coming out kind of crazy compared to the actual house listing. And we would throw out an offer that our realtor felt was right. And sure enough, the homeowner wouldn't want to bite for it because they were kind of upside down on the house.
Yeah.
So like the Murphy house fell through, and then we put an offer in on a Saxy house. Saxy house fell through. And you see where I'm going? So
Yeah, a little bit.
Wylie house got accepted, which was huge. 3rd time's a charm. Because now I think back and I'm like, oh my gosh, we could have lived in Murphy or Saxy. Great cities.
You
but-
dodged 2 bullets.
Yeah. Not to be bratty, but hey.
It is what it is.
Yep. But, oh man, I just love this city, and I'm really proud of how far it's come and what it continues to be, and they continue to pour in and plug into our city. And after doing Leadership Wylie and listening to Jason Greiner talk about traffic counts and how we bring in these great businesses to Wylie, and also really spread the money around that's brought here.
Yeah.
It makes you just want to stay put to do all of your retail transactions, all of your services and whatnot, because it just keeps growing. And then when you have to leave Wylie, you're like, oh, I have to leave my bubble.
Kristi sounds exactly like you. I think you use and me.
I rub off on a lot of people because I mean, Chris, you may not know this about me, but I do not like to leave Wylie for anything.
I've told this story a couple of times, and I'll tell Kristi because she's here now. Like and I'm very similar. Like I do not like having to, like I have to go up to Plano even, and I'm like, ugh, it's like 20 minutes, and I'm like, and it's nothing.
I mean, look,
Plano.
we're not knocking all the surrounding cities. They're great in their own right, but
not at all. But Wes has a rule. Wes does not leave. He's expanded it a bit just because we'll say, hey, let's go to this restaurant or let's go do this, and he'll go, okay. But Wes has a rule that he does not leave Wylie unless the city touches Wylie. So he will go down to Murphy, and we can go to Saxe. Might even could go, I don't know, Lavon. I mean, it has to touch Wylie.
Rowlett.
And then I think we need to expand this rule because I have been with West outside of Wylie and cities that touch Wylie, but I think it's like a once a quarter limit.
It's very minimal. It's very minimal.
But you do feel that way. I mean, some of the things you said, we hear it from everyone that comes in here. I think especially, and that's why, partly why we even do what we do with this, and then why I do what I do with what I do. That's a lot. But
That's a lot of what we do.
That's what we do. But you get to know so many of the people behind the businesses and people behind the names. And when I say names, I'm speaking about like Jal Dennis and, those, you get to know the people that are actually behind those businesses, from, retail to restaurants to business services. You get to know some of those people because Wylie, even though it's grown so much and it is a big little town, it's still very much a little town. Like when you really get to know the people around and get to know the faces and the stories, you don't want to go anywhere else. And the reason I think, and we just heard it from you and we hear it from a bunch of others, is that it's special. Like you can't, to be honest, and I've heard this from other people even locally, it may not even be the same in a couple of the cities that touch Wylie without naming them. I mean, I'm sure they have great businesses and great stories, because I know a lot of them, and I'm sure you do too. But there is something very unique about Wylie that I want to spend my money here. I want to shop here and I want to eat here, because you think about the people that are behind it. And a lot of the businesses here in Wylie across all verticals are small, in their own right. Small to medium, but they're, for the most part, family owned and operated, which is just very, very unique that you get to see that. And so, yeah, it's a bubble for sure. We need it's like a full on, we just need checkpoints. And we'd be like, do you intend to shop in Wylie? Okay, come on in. You can come on in.
You know what, though? I do, for someone who kind of stays in their bubble, especially on the weekends,
yeah.
I do travel quite a bit up to Allen, and then I really enjoy for my clients that are further outside of Wylie. I enjoy going to meet with them face to face, sometimes in their home. Sometimes we we'll use like a WeWork or whatnot to meet in a conference room. Just that personal, just getting to meet in person means a ton.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot, and it's happening more and more these days, which is, I definitely invite that, because that's a whole nother level.
Well, you're a people person.
I am very much so. Yeah.
I like people.
Yeah. In the industry I'm in, it's a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
It's not just hop on the phone. It's more than that.
Yeah. No, and I think that's needed and valued. I think that with what you do, which we'll dive into a little bit here in a sec, but I think it's important. I think that as much as our society, culture, whatever you want to call it, has gotten to a fast food mentality, that I think there are still a large number of people, percentage that would rather that personalized touch and personalized connection to the person that they're doing business with. So I think that's super important that you do that and that you're willing to do that, because I'm sure that there are some that are not, that it's more of a phone call or an email.
Yeah, I mean, I always say, people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust, which is one of the big reasons why we do this podcast, is to get more people exposed to the people behind the businesses and who they are and what brought them here and their background, and maybe it can make a connection, right? Yeah. And it only would help business, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think so. Kristi, you've mentioned the chamber a couple of times, which I know that you're involved in, but if you want to touch on some of that, we always want to know what, our guests, like local involvement, things that you're involved in. We've got Red Door, we've got chamber, are there any others or any stories you got there for, I'm sure we've got a rodeo coming up. I know we've all got rodeo stories, so I'm sure you got some there, but anything that other local involvement that you kind of want to tag or throw out there?
Oh gosh. I wish I could do all the things, and Jason reels me in. He's like, do you have time for that? Because you really want to do this instead. I'm so grateful for that man, or I'd be like, ooh, hair on fire. But and then at work, Trace will be like, Kristi, how about we just do these things? I'm like,
make a list.
I just love it all. But so I'm involved. I'm on the board of Leadership Wylie, which I get to coordinate the nonprofit day. I did that last year, and we have so many great nonprofits. It's just, I wish there could be like a week. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then I'm also a Wylie Chamber Ambassador, and I've been jokingly voluntold to be Wylie Chamber Ambassador President, which I
voluntold.
Yeah, kind of
I just
still rocking that
were.
one. Yeah. So I rally the ambassadors, and the board gives us direction. But we support a lot of small businesses. Like today, we just had Blue Heron, one of our new event venues. Shout out to them. They had their ribbon cutting today, so we all showed up at that to be a part of that celebration for them. And then I'm in a unique networking group called Networking in Action for an Allen chapter. And then also I'm involved in Allen Chamber, not to the extent as Wylie, but that's another great group of people. And, with these groups, I go at it with an eye that how can I make connections to find great people to work with my clients, not the can I do business with you? It's more how can you serve my clients and do great things for them beyond what I can do? So I try to make up for my experience in the industry. I mean, I definitely don't have all the amazing wisdom that Jal has, but I try to trade off with connecting folks and help them out with different situations they're in.
And I can attest to that. I'm a client of Kristi's, and it's funny because we've talked multiple times about I'm needing this or I'm needing that. Specifically, most recently was talking about a CPA, and I was like, I don't know who to call. And then we talked about, setting up will and trust, and we talked about, and then Kristi's got a Rolodex. I mean, it's just like, she goes, I feel like I could ask Kristi for pretty much anything. And it's not even all financial service related. It's just like, she's like, oh, a sticker guy? I can get you a sticker guy. Like, I mean, Kristi, I just know that she has somebody. So that's important. That's important that you're able to be that. And I think it's important going into those. You mentioned something earlier, being relational versus transactional. It's a huge missing component nowadays that I feel like, but being able to do that you have no idea, and you're not even looking at it this way, but you have no idea of being relational, and you're talking with someone and you go, oh, well, I know a great marketing guy, or, I know a great CPA, and you make that connection, and then where that leads down the road, and that the next time that someone asks them and says, do you know somebody that can help me with 401k stuff or investment things, and you go, oh yeah, I know this great lady, she goes to my chamber, and you're able to give that back. Not, again, that's what you're looking for, but that's just how that kind of circle works. And so it's super important.
Yeah. So let's move on here. So Jal Dennis Group. Mm-hmm. So what is it? What is your role with Jal Dennis? What do you do exactly?
Besides being a people connector.
Yeah.
Well, I'm one of the 4 licensed financial advisors there. And I work with Trace, who's Jal's son, and amazing legacy. Jal has since retired, and I could still call him up he's one of my favorites on my cell phone when I need some Jal advice. I can go to him, but gosh, Trace is so fantastic. He really encourages all of us to because of Trace, I have a couple extra licenses. So I have my life and health insurance license, and then I got my accredited asset management specialist designation. But Trace has a slew of letters behind his name, as well as, he's fantastic.
He has the whole alphabet, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. But he's also, his big one is a chartered market technician. So I like to call that like a captain of a ship with the telescope, and then we're like his first mateys.
Yeah.
And when a storm's coming, he rallies the troops, says, hey, this is a game plan. But I can also run my ideas by him as my sounding board. Not very many firms have that type of dynamic with each other. And then Demond and Derek are my fantastic co-advisors that I get to work with. We bounce ideas off of each other. We also kind of work in our own strengths and different groupings of folks that we best serve. And I guess the grouping of clients that I'm the most valuable to is like your 30s to your late 60s, about to retire folks. I know that's a huge bubble, but my clients are working hard. They have kids, or their kids are going off to college. They're getting real close to retiring. They're also taking care of mom and dad. They're not, I guess, extra elderly. That's not really a nice term to say, sorry. But they're not, they're at the point where they have a lot on their plate. Yeah. So we all take care of everybody, but we kind of lean into our strengths for sure.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, I think that's smart because I'm familiar obviously with what you guys do, but having those different kind of specialties, I guess you could say, or client bubbles that, if one of you does have someone that fits in someone else's bubble, it's easy to go and lean on that person and say, I want to make sure this person gets the best service they can get.
Absolutely. Or if we think that someone's would be a better fit as their advisor,
sure.
as long as we communicate a lot with the client and just, of course, say, hey, this is why we feel like it'd be the best match for you. And at the end of the day, it's just taking care of people and helping them get to where they want to go.
That's awesome. So what is, I've spent some time with Trace, and I've spent some time with Jal, and I love the Jalisms that everyone knows around town. And what would you say, what is it like to work at the Jal Dennis Group? I know obviously you guys work as a team, but you also work independently. But what is it like just as I guess culture is a buzzword, but what is it like to work at the Jal Dennis Group?
It's like a family. We all quarantine together, and like a lot of folks just work from their house and they had their family, and then we just came in because we were essential workers. Plus, it's a lot quieter to work at the office.
Yeah, right.
And then we all kind of like sub-quarantine in our own spaces. But yeah, we're a work family for sure. We celebrate a lot of things together, and we lean on each other for different things. It's an amazing environment, and I'm very lucky that I have an amazing counterpart, which is Kathy. She is my assistant, and her and I work together to serve our clients. But then we have Rhonda, who I joke that is the queen of the castle. She was there almost since the beginning, and she glues us together and makes a lot of things happen. Things I don't even know.
they just get done.
They just get done. Yeah.
And then we got Regina up front, who she does so many things, and she's the friendly voice that picks up the phone. And my guys have Tiffany, who she's our newest adoptee to the family, and she fits in perfect. But we're just a tight knit crew.
I love calling up there too, because when I call, Miss Regina answers the phone, and sometimes, and I got to get out of the habit of doing this, but I'll just be going through my normal things. I'm needing to call and talk to Trace, or I'm calling to talk to you, and then I'll just, hey, is Trace in? Is this DJ? I'll be like, yeah, Shay, how are you? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like I'm in business mindset. I'm just like trying to get to the person and get something handled and move on. But
she just slow down a little bit. She
stops me a little bit, and she just always tells me hi and asks me how I'm doing. And then talking to her makes me go, I'm doing good. How are you? I just slow down for that moment. And every time I come in, she's the same exact way.
It's the break that you didn't know you needed.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Absolutely.
Well, I saw y'all recently. Y'all just did a little bit of a kind of an exterior remodel up there, right?
Yes, we did.
I love it. I think it looks awesome. It already stood out, right? Because you cannot miss the giant bull, which has a name. George, yes, okay. Yeah. I knew it had one. I couldn't remember what the name was.
Yeah, he got named from a scavenger hunt that the chamber put on.
That's right.
Because I thought, hey, let's incorporate our bull, and we'll put stuff inside the cavity of his body, because he's a smoker.
Technically a smoker, yeah.
Yep, he's a smoker. So I guess people just decided to call him George, so it stuck.
Yeah, and you can't miss it.
Go check out George.
If you're driving down 544, the thing is like bronze or golden or whatever you want to call it. Like you can't miss
He's
George.
right by the big TV.
And I was going to say, you can't miss, if you miss George, you can't miss the giant TV that's on the side of the building. But no, I thought, changing to the white and green, I thought looked really good.
Thank you.
Those are kind of your favorite colors.
Well, it's not the right green.
Well, I mean,
I tried to talk to Trace about it, and he was like, we're kind of set on the colors, so.
you try to get a little lime green
little
extra,
neon.
a little neon.
I mean, it would stand out a little, it's no big deal.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we were really grateful. It was a scary moment for a lot of clients that have known us for so long. They're like, are they moving away? What's going on? But the weather was not cooperating with us. So it was a long, drawn out process. And poor Regina, she had to hold down the fort with all those crazy calls. Of
I bet.
People panicked, like, what's going on? Are you guys moving away? Where's my money going? And then we also, a big... A reason for the refresh is we continually were mistaken for part of the post office.
Right.
So that was, people come and you're like, did you not look at the LED or what we got going on here? I'm sorry,
They're like,
kids,
no,
with your
we
package.
just looked at the brick color.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. And then Signsmiths of Texas they're the ones that redid our sign.
Yeah, it looks awesome, especially I saw the big, I guess the oversized logos and emblems and things that went on the side. That was awesome.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. We're really proud of how that turned out, and it looks really nice and clean. So
Yeah. So I've been in this area for a long time, like almost 22 years. But remember when Jal was over here by the old grocery store, and then moved over there for a while. So when did you start in that new location, or were you over here?
Yes.
And then went with the move?
I am spoiled, and I got in after all that went down. Yes, yeah.
You got the nice
Rhonda
new
tells
office.
stories. She's like, "Oh, I remember," and I'm pretty lucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm sure that original move over there spurred a lot of people talking from clients. So where are they taking my money? And
Oh, I'm sure you have a lot of people get concerned about that. Then just all of a sudden, like, oh, wait, they were there yesterday.
they moved around the corner.
They took off the incognito. That's
Man.
funny.
Well, for just to kind of fully kind of give you a lay of the land there, we have a broker dealer, LPL Financial, that we partner with. So they actually custodian everything.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we're very grateful to have them, and Jal picked them back in 2008 when he started the firm, and they've been a fantastic vendor to us.
That's awesome.
And that's how you kind of explain it, where they're our vendor.
Okay.
Yep.
No, that's awesome.
That is kind of cool. So, any shout outs that you want to give? Anything coming up in your world or around town you think that our listeners might be interested in?
Oh, gosh. Actually, I thought about this because you guys, you did kind of give me a heads up on that one.
We give you a little time to think about it. Yeah.
Well, we got the rodeo coming up next weekend. I'm pretty excited. This will be my round 2 volunteering at the rodeo in the VIP section. So come say hi if you're coming to the rodeo. It's going to be Friday and Saturday. Let's just pray for great weather.
Yes.
And that's the big deal.
The rain has been, I said the R word, intermittent here lately. Hopefully it'll get it out of its system before the rodeo weekend.
You can say rain. You can say rain now. You're not allowed to say it in a week. You're not allowed to say it the week of.
The week
so
of?
like Friday to Friday, you can't.
So
we're done.
let's just talk rain now, get it over with.
Yeah.
Because we need it.
We do need it.
But we don't need it that weekend.
Don't need it that weekend. Because the rodeo outside of like severe weather, I mean, it's going to happen. It's rain or shine. So us volunteers and those of us that will be there regardless. So yeah, we don't need rain.
Yeah.
We don't need rain.
Absolutely. And also shout out, I didn't mention this. I've been doing this for probably about 3 years. I am a Camp Gladiator camper.
Okay.
One of those crazy folks you see out in the parking lot.
You said it, not me. You said it, not me.
Oh man, that is such a neat accountability group there. As far as I've done different workout stuff, and my husband's made fun of me. He's like, you got workout ADD. You can't stick with anything. Well, guess who hit 500 check-ins?
Oh,
This
wow.
girl.
Nice.
So I had
That's
to
a huge
accept the
milestone.
challenge. It is. And I attribute it to that group. I mean, all of the different trainers. And if you've been on the fence of potentially wanting to try out Camp Gladiator, next month is like the cheapest time to get in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just heads up there.
That's
As a
great
financial advisor that's pretty frugal looking for the deals, that's probably the time
And
to
that's
get
the deal
in.
with Camp Gladiator, right? I mean, like there are different times, different locations and
Yep.
stuff. So it's very flexible. I'm
It is.
somewhat familiar with it. I'm not huge. I will not be out there with you like 4:00 in the morning though. I can't.
So 500 check-ins.
Yeah.
Like, if you went every day, that's over a year. It's like almost, so how long did it take you?
Oh, well, keep in mind that like, I didn't go like
Every day.
every day. No.
But
I think
over a
that
few years,
I
probably.
think that was about 3 years of effort.
Yeah, that's still
3
solid.
years.
That's
I mean, you
still
gotta
some
go on-
serious dedication.
Yeah, holidays,
Well, I mean,
vacation,
you're
things
a
like
gym
that.
rat if you go. I mean, if you go to the gym or work out 4 days a week, I mean, you're probably considered a gym rat. I mean, so even 4 days a week, that's probably in that realm. That's probably in like the 2 to 3 year range, I would think, right? I mean, 7 days would be 365.
Yeah.
So, I mean, something like that.
Yeah, my consistent's about 3 days a week.
Yeah.
But sometimes I bump it up to 4. You just kind of change it up.
I always try to skip a leg day. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. It's just a West joke. I it is what it is.
Those skinny calves.
It's skinny calves. It's genetics. That's all it is. That's all it is, guaranteed.
Or skipping leg day. We haven't decided yet.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, Kristi, thank you so very much for coming in today. I'm so glad that you were here. If anyone that is watching this, if you are you're looking for a financial planner, or you just simply have questions. I mean, obviously we know, market has done different things and, there's not a right or wrong answer sometimes, but who has some of those answers or can at least guide you is the folks over at Jal Dennis Group, and particularly Kristi Denham. And, I personally trust her. So, I mean, if you're looking for, sometimes it's just those questions. Sometimes you're looking for a professional that you can do all the Googling you want. I will highly recommend not doing the Googling. What I would recommend you doing is, do some research, dig into, there's all kinds of different things. You mentioned some of the licenses and things that you need to have, but I think sometimes just looking at not only the individual, but who they're partnered with and who they have behind them and who supports them and things like that. So I would just recommend anybody listening or watching that doesn't even know kind of next steps, or they're maybe early on in their financial planning, or they haven't started at all, or, the different milestones you talked about. They got kids that are growing up, kids going into college, thinking about retirement, all those things that, Kristi's somebody that you can call up and have a conversation with. And it's kind of simply that. I know from the first time I met you, there was never a hard sell on anything or anything like that. It was literally, come talk to me about where you're at, come talk to me about where you want to go, and let's, take the steps to get there. So I would encourage anybody that's listening to, absolutely reach out to them.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we're definitely a consulting group, that's for sure. Being an independent firm, we don't have corporate breathing down our necks. And
awesome.
It's just beautiful because we can be true fiduciaries and just serve people and take care of them and do the right thing and helping them with their journey.
And it's being super local here. Just can walk in, ask questions, probably talk to anybody they want to talk to.
Say hi to George.
Say hi to George. Pick up the phone, get somebody on the phone without going through the automated systems or whatever.
That is the number one thing I will tell you, that being able to, and it's a lot of business around town, but you guys too, for me to call and ask a question and know that Regina's going to pick up the phone, and then know that ideally she's going to transfer me straight to you, or you're going to call me right back because you're on the phone with someone, makes sense. But then I get that phone call back, same day for the most part, as long as you're not, serving the chamber, or got something going on. But that's how it works, and being able to do that anywhere else I call, check my water bill. I've got to press 5-6 buttons. I've got to wait. And then usually I get an automated message system, or I get somebody that doesn't even live around here and they want to, I'm like, no, I can drive up there, but somebody just needs to take my call and answer my question and solve my problem. And that's exactly what you guys are able to do, is just that personal level of touch. That's what you're looking for. These are the folks.
Absolutely.
Kristi, thanks for being here.
Thank you so
Wes,
much for
thank you
having
for
me.
being here. And before I forget, thank you to the Live, Love Wylie band
you almost
for
forgot.
our intro and outro song today.
That's
We're
right.
so glad to have you guys here. I don't need any
You
more
almost
emails.
slipped up.
I don't need any emails.
You almost slipped up. Thanks, Kristi.
Thank you.
This episode of the Live, Love Wylie podcast is brought to you by the Dorsey Realty Group and Speak Loud Media.